Hi. Well, I just did this whole lesson without videoing it, so we'll connect again. So we were talking about the still small voice, and the still small voice is we receive divine ideas from Spirit, and the still small voice is going to come after we get out of the silence. Okay. We may hear divine ideas through ourselves, other people, books, coincidences we encounter. I think all of you know what I'm talking about. And so, but the still small voice, you aren't going to hear it while you are in the silence, because the silence is unawareness. Okay? Um, the more that I meditate, well, not the more. When I meditate, I find that divine ideas occur more and more often. And my life goes so much better when I meditate. And when I meditate, sometimes, not very often to be honest, but I do get to the silence. But the silence is usually for me a very short period of non-awareness. I don't even know how long because it is non-awareness. Okay. And so I just wanted to talk about that. So we've talked so far about the silence and meditation. Now I want to walk you through the 5-step prayer process. I know you're going to have to learn it, memorize it, understand it. Okay. And so the 5-step prayer process is relaxation, concentration, meditation, recognition, realization, and thanksgiving. Okay. The first 3 steps of those are really meditating. Okay. When we relax, when we concentrate, so we're concentrating on our alignment with our spirit, our alignment with oneness. And then we meditate. So all of those aren't really steps. They're all areas to get into meditation. Okay. And I think as Reverend Kelly Asola, I just took a class from her. And because I wanted to really make sure I was prepared to teach this class. And Reverend Kelly was saying that we have a lot of stuff maybe around meditating that we think we have to do it so long. And she was honestly saying people say it's the framework of unity, but how often do ministers find the time? And one of the biggest things that she said was, you should only meditate for how long you feel you want to meditate. Whether that is 2 minutes or 5 minutes. And she personally didn't feel that meditating for 20 minutes is better than meditating for 5 or 10 minutes. And so this took a lot of guilt away from me, okay? And so I changed my meditation. I changed it to just making it short, okay, and enjoying it and not worrying about that I'm not doing it right or anything like that, okay. And so this is the way I do it. I use a app, it's called Insight Timer, and it has different settings. And so I set it for about 2 minutes first. It has a little timer that goes off around 2 minutes with a little bell. And that's where I just relax and I concentrate and sort of try to get myself centered into my oneness with Spirit. And then after that goes off, I set it for another 5 minutes. And that's where I focus on a word or what we know in unity as a centering prayer, okay? Which is a little bit confusing. So at Unity, a centering prayer could be called a centering meditation. It's really not prayer. It's centering ourselves on a word, focusing on a word that might be more with our oneness, like Om, or I am one, or I am Christ, or just our breath in and out, focusing on our oneness, okay? And so you'll hear it called centering prayer. I think a better word for that would be centering meditation. So we have relaxation, concentration, and then you might do a centering meditation. And that's what I would do for the next 5 minutes. And this would allow the silence to come in, the area of unawareness. Okay. And then after that, I might hear a still small voice, or it may come during the day. But after your meditation part, that is where you begin your prayer process, your realization, okay? Our realization is our prayer process. And from page 73 of Heart-Centered Metaphysics, persist in prayer until there is a deep inner knowing, a deep conviction of truth, and then stop thinking or even looking for manifestation. So this is a realization that you're just knowing the truth, whether it might be abundance, wholeness, healing, whatever area of the truth that you need to bring in and consciously feel and be aware, okay? So that is a realization that you're realizing the truth principles of our oneness, our wholeness, our health, okay? It is an inner conviction, okay? It is a dawning of truth in our consciousness. When realization takes place, one abides in the light of God mind, the light of God mind. It is the inner conviction that your prayer has been answered, although there is yet no outer manifestation. And this is from page 72 of Heart-Centered Metaphysics. And instead of the word answered, I think a better word would be unfolded. It is an inner conviction that your prayer has been unfolded, because it is always here and now. We're always whole. We're always healthy. Okay? And then we end our prayer with giving thanks. And we give thanks not that our prayer is answered. We give thanks that we know the truth of our prayers. And we know that we have that connection with divine mind. That's what we are giving thanks for. Okay. Oh, so that was a lot. Okay, probably because I've done it twice. Now, here's a 5-step. Okay, so now what I'd like to do is I want you guys to read page 74, that whole chapter, that whole portion about prayer without ceasing, or pray without ceasing. It's 8J. And I'm asking you to give me an example of that. And so I want to give you an example of what I consider pray without ceasing. Sometimes my husband does things that I think aren't for his highest health goods, health-wise, I think that. And so when I see that, I sometimes get into a place of fear, or, I want to tell him what to do. I want to control things. And that's where I just need to breathe. I need to relax. And I need to know my oneness with Spirit, that all is working in my highest good and for divine order. So just by doing that little thinking, that would be a pray without ceasing. All right? I just want to give you a little example. The last thing we're going to talk about this week is in Teach Us to Pray. And it's a chapter face to face with God. And the Fillmores talk about that sometimes when we address God, we do it as if God were absent or God were a third person. Okay? And we know that there is no separation between spirit and ourselves, the creator and the created. Yet we do. It's hard not to sometimes to think we're separate, okay? And that's why we don't want to address God as outside of ourselves. God is a part of us, okay? So we don't want to talk about God as a third person. And we've grown up, haven't we, talking about God as a third person, as a father, as separate from ourselves, okay? Even in unity, we often hear Father, Mother, God, okay? And that still is sort of God is outside of ourselves. And so I want you to really look at that. Spend some time. Where have you seen yourself or others talk about God as a third person? Where have you seen or referred to God as separate from yourself? Okay. Where have you seen where God is outside of you? Okay. So we have to really look at our words when we pray, because we are knowing our own divine powers. And it is through our alignment with Spirit that is within us that allows that. So anytime we separate ourselves through this distinction, that is maybe taking a little bit of our own divine powers away from ourselves because it's our consciousness, okay? So we want to always pray to not a he or she or something that lives outside of ourselves. We want to pray that for that power, that God that lives within us, that is us. Okay. And for me, I like to say in us, around us, and as us. And I know Butterworth feels like even in us is like what he says, something about a raisin and something like that. So anyway, but the more we can find that divine within ourselves, then we always are just acknowledging that what we see in our divine mind, in our mind, that is the affirmative prayer, okay? And the more we see and know our own divine powers, the more we acknowledge the truth of who we are, that we are whole, we are healthy, we are abundant, we are always good as God is, okay? So I hope this week brings you a few things, okay? Number one, that you know who you are, the divine, and that all we're learning is to express our own divine spiritual beings that we are. I hope that with prayer, you see it as enjoyable. You're going to meditate as long as feels good. You're going to know that everything that happens in meditation is perfect for that time. And you're just going to enjoy your meditation and your prayer time. And I am knowing for you a great week. I look forward to seeing you next week. Bye.